Hey, this is William for attackofthefanboy.com. It's been a while since we've done this, Kyle. Come together to talk about a video game.
This is an important one, though.
It is. A very important one to you.
Yes, to everyone.
It's an important one to everyone, yeah. The Nintendo Switch is coming out, and this is The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. And you are luckily playing this.
I am extensively. I'm playing this every spare moment that I have. And I'm loving it.
Are you?
Yeah. No, so I'm trying. Here's the thing. I play this, and I know I have like a little Will talking to me the whole time, and you're like, Kyle, you're a Zelda fan. Of course you're gonna love it. But I will say,
is it hard for you to be objective?
I really try hard to be objective. So, whether I succeed or not, I'm not sure. But
I'm pretty dour on most Nintendo's stuff. I just don't really get into it all that much anymore. But even all the things that I've seen of this game look pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. Everything that people have seen of this game is the most boring part of the game.
What?
And yeah, it is. So, I started it, and the most of this is from the beginning of the game, and I've only played a few hours that I can talk about here. But this opening part is good. It's very, very good, especially if you think about how Zelda has been in the past, where you have these long tutorial sections that intro you to everything. This one gets that right out of the way, gets you going. But it's still very contained, very small in scope. Even though you see big vistas like this, all of that stuff is very far out there and it's locked away. You're kind of put into this little area where you need to learn the game and get some of your abilities. And then once you do, everything unlocks and you can go wherever you want. And the game starts to just become a whole other experience that is so perfect in terms of what Zelda has tried to be over the years.
So this is open world. Have you encountered anything that you have been blocked? Zelda traditionally has been like, you need this to get here, right? Isn't that generally how the gameplay mechanics have worked?
Yes.
In Zelda, like you need this type of crossbow to get through this sort of section, or you need this item to get through here and complete these quests. Is it still kind of structured that way? Or have you found places that you just can't get to without certain items, or you have been able to basically do whatever you want?
You can, after that intro area, you pretty much have all the tools that you need to do whatever you want. However, certain areas will be locked off in different ways in terms of the snowy mountain that you want to climb is cold, and you don't have armor to survive the cold, and so you need to make stew that will let you not take damage from the cold. Stuff like that. And of course there's enemies that are too strong. You probably can't defeat them, but if you are really good at the game, then sure, you can. But no, in these first few hours after that intro area is done, the world opens up and you are free to explore it however you want. It's actually very disorienting when it starts, because Zelda is so linear in the past. It is so, you do this dungeon, and at the end of that dungeon they tell you go here. Here they give you kind of a pointer. They're like, go that way if you want to go to the next town and talk to this person. You don't have to go that way. You can go anywhere else. You can go straight to the castle if you want. I haven't done that yet. I probably should.
Holding off. Link's got a badass hammer.
Yeah. And there's a ton of different weapons. This is also very different in that, there's so many different things.
thought he was going to go for it, like Shadows of Mordor style.
I figured this was the best way to kind of give you a look at the area, and this is right outside of that tutorial zone. This whole area is just the like one section over.
So what are you doing like out in this world? Other than going, there's got to be traditional like quests and stuff that you take. But what other is there like stuff to gather out here? Enemies to fight? I haven't seen. Okay,
there you go. So I didn't even know that this guy was here. But he is, yeah. So that's the thing. So yes, you have missions, and you obviously have a main objective, and you kind of have an idea. It's very much like other open world games, where you have an idea of where you need to go next. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. The big thing in this is it so perfectly nails that idea of you see something in the distance and you just go on a quest to get there. And it takes you 30 minutes to get there. But and then on your way, you see something else and you get distracted by that and you go and do that. That's happened to me so often where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get some progress done. I'm going to actually go and do this main objective. To do that, I need to go that way. So I started heading that way and I'm like, what's that light over there on top of that mountain? And so then I climb the mountain and I get to the light, and it's these shrines, which are actually mini dungeons, which you'll see in a little bit. So I complete that. I come out and I'm like, whoa, that looks like a group of enemies. So I go over there and then I do that. And like an hour later, I have accomplished nothing in the main objective, but I've found all of this other stuff that was super fun to do.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the modern role-playing game, basically. Yeah. The modern open world role-playing game. Skyrim, The Witcher, Fallout, that sort of stuff, where you just kind of get sidetracked and lost. Do you think that's what they were going for with this kind of? I mean, is that obvious?
Definitely. I mean, that's how they've always described this series. This is what, this is trying to give you a sense of adventure, of exploration. You crawl through a cave and come out the other side and you find a lake. That's always how they've described the Zelda series. And the other games definitely accomplish that, but maybe not as well as this one does. This just really hits that feeling of exploration, of adventure. Everything takes a long time and a lot of effort. Even you have a horse, but you have to find a wild horse. It's not just given to you at the farm. You
can just right out of the gate go find a horse?
Yeah, if you want. This is the area. This is the first area where you start seeing horses, if this is the way that you go. And then there's like a stable over there that
God damn it, Kyle. Am I going to have to get a goddamn Switch?
Yes, you are.
Oh, man. Because what you're describing and what I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, yeah, I could play this. It looks cool.
Mm-hmm. It's really, really cool. It's... for Zelda fans, it's going to be a little jarring because it really does change the series in a lot of ways. And I think that's what my first hour or two was with this game. And I was dreading it. I was like, oh my God, am I not going to love this game?
But
definitely going to like it.
The potential to not love the Zelda game you've been waiting for
exactly.
years for.
Yeah, and I was really worried, and then I started playing more, and I started getting into these other areas, and I was like, oh, that was amazing. Like, and the areas in this game, I ran into one last night that I can't really talk about, but I came around a corner, and it was a new area, and I looked at it, I'm like, this is amazing. This just looks gorgeous.
Visuals of it?
Yeah, and it's just really amazingly designed, and it's one of those where you see an area and you're like, I've got to explore the whole place. I've got to figure out what's going on here. I've got to see everything.
How do they determine what, how you're leveled for those enemies? Like how would you know, like, are they going to be a hard group of enemies, or is it going to be that looked like a fairly easy fight? You didn't.
Yeah.
Has everything kind of been the same sort of skill level? That's kind of like the problem with open world, since some areas just have enemies that are harder, right? That's how they gate your progress. How
Yeah. So
how are they doing it in this?
if you saw, there's just different types of enemies, like those red. I think they're bokoblins. I've always been bad at the names of the Zelda enemies, but don't
It's
take
all
away
right.
my
I called it Hyrule for 32 years.
But the red ones were kind of the very first enemies, so those are the easiest. And then those blue ones started showing up more and more often the further I got out from the intro area.
Okay.
And those are tougher. And then there's bigger ones that I've started seeing, and then there's just other completely different types of enemies that you'll run into. You'll also run into elemental enemies. I was in an area that was full of electric enemies, and so I had to use a potion that gave me. I had to use one that they gave me, and then I had to make more when I ran out that would give me resistance to electricity. There's so much more to it. Also, like I couldn't tell, but I think that my metal armor was causing them to do extra damage. I tried taking it off, but I wasn't sure. What I do know is if there's a thunderstorm around, you have to take all your metal off because you will get hit by lightning, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Is it posing a challenge? I mean, is it a challenging game?
It is. It's not Dark Souls, it's nothing like that. But I've died more in this game in the first few hours than I probably did in the last, like, 2 or 3 Zelda games combined, which is just because Zelda games have not been hard for a long time. They've been, since Wind Waker at least, it's just been progressively getting easier and easier. And this one definitely does offer a challenge, especially if you push yourself. Like, the challenge here is very much dependent on how you play the game. These shrines, by the way, are a bit challenging. The puzzles aren't like super complex so far, but there's apparently dozens of these things, and I wouldn't be shocked if that was true because I've already run across a bunch, and just you can, from any vantage point, you can usually see like 1 or 2, and then that's just a small area. So these are more of the puzzle, traditional dungeon experience. I know that Nintendo has said there are dungeons in the game, but I've yet to come across one, full-blown dungeons. But yeah, in terms of difficulty, it's there. The puzzles are here again, and they start getting more difficult as the game progresses. But you can make the game harder by just going to areas that are tougher.
Gotcha.
Before they actually say, like, in the story, they say you can run wherever you want, but you probably don't want to. So it's up to you if you, farm these tokens that you get at the end of these shrines, and those are what increases your health and your stamina.
Gotcha. You're playing this on the Nintendo Switch. Just we didn't say that up front. How are you liking that experience?
It's good. Yeah, and I put up a hands-on thing on the site. If anybody wants to read it, I'll be sure to put that in the description. It's very bare bones right now. It literally is just a console that plays Zelda.
Yeah, but the Zelda machine, if it's got, is this like a... I don't know if we're even allowed to say or what we're allowed to talk about in terms of how long this game is or what are you expecting to get out of this?
A lot. Yeah. I have not seen half the map. I've probably seen less than a quarter of the map. It's going to be a long game.
Well, if the launch lineup dries up for the Switch, you'll have plenty to play. Kyle, Nintendo put these crazy embargo restrictions on us, and we can only talk for 19 more seconds. Is there anything else you want to say?
Nope. Zelda's looking great. I'll put something in the description with more hands-on stuff. So
that was
read
the Legend of Zelda. Yes, you can find our impressions on YouTube at attackofthefanboy.com. For Kyle, I'm William. Thanks for watching.